Good morning. My name is Terry Morgan, and today is December 15th, 2023, Friday. We're here to practice Wudang Qigong. I have the first set that we're going to review the physical movements for, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the internal workmanship that we want to develop and create through this particular exercise. There will be probably one more class on this, just this one set. It's at the beginning, right? And I've got Professor Liu's book. This is the first edition. Okay, this is the first edition. As we start extreme emptiness, Qigong. I talked about that previously. 无机开往机开台气，还是可以说无机生往机生台气。This progression, 无机, extreme emptiness. There's nothing. But there could be. But there's nothing. Wang Qi is the next step where there is something, but it's not clearly distinguished. We don't know. Could be, lots of potential. Still that very ephemeral, what we have before we have an idea that we can enunciate, that we can say, in whatever language it happens to be. Tai Chi, yin and yang are clearly distinguished. As we progress to that, we develop a level of skill, looking inwardly and clearing the mind. Empty. There's nothing there. And this is not the sense of empty without purpose. It's empty with that sense that there is something. So that idea of empty, well, oh, hey, that's empty-headed. They not thinking at all. We're not, but that's not the kind of empty that we're talking about. That kind of empty is a sense of nothing with the potential for everything. And it's a concept that is sometimes difficult to enunciate. People go on for pages and pages. I have books on Wu and this concept of how we move from nothing to the potential to actually having something. Tai Chi. Okay, that progression, okay? So in this book, we start out with several things that I talked about previously, with the idea of there are assumptions that Professor Liu makes for the understanding of his audience that don't really translate all that well, because some of those assumptions are language and culture based. If it's not your language, if Chinese is not your native language, and you're not familiar with the very extensive history of traditional Chinese medicine and Qigong practice generally, there's a lot of what he's referencing that will not be really accessible because of that gap in understanding. That gap that comes, and then I'm trying to close part of that gap with these classes. So, I mean, that's one of my goals, right? So today I'm going to focus on, like I said, I'm going to focus on the physical movements. I'm going to pay attention to the internal work. And as we practice, paying attention also to main points and functions, right? The main point of extreme emptiness exercise is to refine and cultivate the inner breath in the tian. This is the lower tian. When breathing in, the center of the foot, the Yongchuan acupuncture point, and the palms, Laogong acupuncture points, the center of the head, the Bai Hui acupuncture point. These three centers breathe in, taking in from above, in the middle, and below. Yang, middle, yin. The three breaths are carried to the tian. You're just starting out. This is the first exercise. What did he just say? What the tian and the breath, and this is the inner breath, the qi, and breathing in the Yongchuan, the acupuncture points. What are we doing here? What is this inner breath, qi, and the acupuncture points, and what does it mean to breathe in through these acupuncture points? What are we talking about here? That is one of the things that I'm going to try and work on this morning. All right, so that as we look at, or as you look at, what has been written, there's at least another reference to help understand what he's talking about and how to do it. That part of the instruction, right? And we're going to get started here. That part of the instruction, where he's talking about the physical movements. There are perception issues, the same as, what is this, the pull up through the Yongchuan, breathe in through the three centers, use the three breaths, all of them return to the lower tian. What is he talking about there? These concepts are generally familiar to someone who has studied traditional Chinese medicine. They're not familiar to someone who is both not part of the culture and hasn't studied traditional Chinese medicine. What do we do with that? Feet about shoulder width apart. Bend the knees just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit. We're not going here yet. We do bend, and we can go all the way down. We can go a little bit wider, a little bit lower with this is fine. It's not what we want to pay. That physical aspect is part of what we're paying attention to, but extending that is not my goal for today. My goal for today is to work on this internal practice. Feet about shoulder width apart, bend the knees. As you bend the knees, pull up through the huiyin, pull in and up through the anus, pull in and up through the center right here across the hips, so that your hips stay at the same place. And as your knees bend, you can feel your hips open, you feel your legs drop out of, just slightly out of the hips, so your hip is more open. Drop the tailbone so that the center in the middle of the back, right here, the main men, is open. So here, it's not open. I'm leaning back, it's not open. Here, I'm dropped forward, it's not open. Here, drop the tailbone down, and you'll feel this little bit of a curve that you have when the hip is up here. You'll feel that little bit of a curve straighten. That's what you want. As you pull up through the back, don't take the shoulders up too. The shoulders stay down. Alright? Pull up through the neck spine. Open the jade pillow here. Yeah, I know he didn't talk about that in that little part of it. It's one of the gates in the back, and it is part of the small heavenly circle. And keep going. Back way. Pull up through the crown of the head. The tip of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth. Both hands at your sides. The arms are relaxed. The fingers are relaxed. Wiggle the fingers if you need to. Relax the fingers. Shoulders down. As the hands come to the front, keep this, don't bunch up here. Bend the elbows just a little bit. So all I have to do to bring my hands here is tighten this muscle right here to bend my elbow. I have to loosen this one, tighten this one, bring the arms up. I decide where they're going to, which angle I'm going to use. As the hands come across, both laogong connect with each other. So the center and the palm, the laogong. The yongchuan, the center and the ball of the foot. Similar to the laogong. Both of these are what Professor Liu mentioned. As we're breathing in and breathing out. So the centers in the palms connect with each other. The centers in the feet connect with each other and with the centers in the palms. The qi, the inner breath, circulates through the whole body. I'm not going to focus on too much that right now, other than as we breathe, we're paying attention to the centers in the palm, the centers in the feet, the baikhui at the crown of the head. So as I breathe out, I want to think about extending upward. As I breathe in, I think about pulling inward. That extension upward carries the whole body. As I pull in, I need to keep that extension moving up so that I don't do this, right? It's here, not here. That pull in from the top, breathe through the centers of the palms, breathe through the centers of the feet, those three centers. So as I breathe in, I also want to sense or feel, pay attention to, for lack of a better way to say it, the centers in the palm. If you were here in the room with me, and I walked over to you, and I put my hand in front of your face, and I breathe out, you will feel a slight warmth from the center of my palm. The same as I breathe in, I want to pull that breath in. This part of internal practice. Qigong. Qi, that inner breath, that Qigong, right? That part of practice is not something that is often introduced. I didn't encounter it until I had met Professor Leo. And it is something that as we develop that skill, we begin to understand the value and the purpose of trying to develop this skill. At the beginning, feet about shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, palms at the sides, fingertips down and relaxed. So no this, no not this, just relaxed. All right, pull up through the crown of the head. Ladies, your right hand on the outside. Gentlemen, left hand on the outside. Breathe in to the middle tian, and breathe out. As you breathe out, allow the thumb to press gently, just gently, against the body, to press down, connect to the lower tian, and breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. Open the back. Don't bring the shoulders up. Extend them. And breathe out. Breathe in. Pull in through the bai hui. Pull in through the yung chuan. Pull in through the lao as you breathe in. As you breathe out through the three centers. Connect all three with the lower tian. Focus on the inner breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Two more. Breathe in. And breathe out. Press down to the lower tian. And connect. And breathe in. Press down. Breathe out. And last time, breathe in. Hands separate. Down on both sides. Pull up through the crown of the head. Raise the heels and lower. Stay there. Breathe in. Breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. A couple of things I'm going to talk about real quick here at the end. Each time we press down, the sense that I'm actually pressing against something, and as I push my hands down, that opposite force pushes my body up. The goal for raising the heels slightly and then lowering them is to help the qi circulate through the whole body. This is part of the instruction in Professor Liu's book, and it's been part of everything that I've taught. So it really is one of the fundamentals for these exercises. Now, when we do it, that's a question. I could do the full set of all 18 of the exercises. I could do a series of all 18 and not close until the very end. I don't have to start over each time. I keep going. That practice method is an option. It's not something that is listed as an options menu, but it is an option. that is something that I've learned and that I was taught by Professor Liu. As we finish a set, one of the things that we want to do is to return to where we were when we started. So when we start a set, start a series, we have I'm gonna call it a normal connection with our surroundings, within our own body, and within what we're doing, right? So I'm in my studio and I'm going to turn on the computers, I'm going to get ready to teach class, I need to put some lights on. That's my normal. As I start practice, I pay attention to what's required for practice. Internal work, breathing, paying attention to this, paying attention to that part of the body, clearing the mind, all sorts of things that go with what I'm doing in practice. When I finish practice, I want to restore that point at which I started. I want to go back to it so that I come back to my normal environment, my normal ways of paying attention to the world, with a little bit more of whatever it was I practiced. So I want to take that and put it away and keep it, so that as I return to that normal state, I have it, I can use it again, and I have also balanced, is a good way to say it. I've balanced what I'm doing in practice with that day-to-day thought process. In practice, we want to reduce what in technical scientific terms is called beta waves. This is a normal thought process. Here's what I'm going to do today, here's where I am, this is what I've got. It's a normal thought process that we all engage in. As we practice, we want to reduce those beta waves and we want to increase the alpha waves. These tend to be those that are dominant when we're relaxed, we're comfortable, we're feeling creative, we're open. There's not a lot of chatter internally. Turn down the noise and bring up that level of thought that can be measured. Literally, it can be measured. You can hook up somebody and they'll measure it. I've had that done to me. It's measurable. You can do it. That effort to reduce the noise and quiet the mind so that we're more open to what else there might be. In this exercise, there's several things that what else there might be. And as we're going to do it again, the internal connections, the Bai Hui, crown of the head, Lao Gong in palms, Yong Chuan in feet with the lower tian. These connections with the internal breath, the qi, so that the qi is circulating through these connections, and that as we're breathing, we pay attention to extending the breath through these particular centers. And there's other exercises we're going to do something else. Through these particular centers for this exercise. All right. As we practice this time, we're going to work a little bit lower. So as we sink make sure that your hip is just a little bit behind the heel so that you can sink lower. If you're here, you're stuck, you're not going any lower. If you're here, you can. That little bit of a difference matters. Feet about shoulder width apart, stand straight, relax the arms, wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes, smile, pull up through the crown of the head. Ladies, right hand on the outside, gentlemen, left hand on the outside. Both lat will connect with each other and with the lower tian. Breathe in, pull up to the middle tian, pull up through the crown of the head, breathe out, press down along the run line, connect to the lower tian, sink, open the back, and breathe in. Whole body breathe in, don't raise the shoulders. Pay attention to the three centers, the Bai Hui, the Lao Wu, and the Yongchuan. Return the energy, return the chi to the lower dantian. Breathe in. Breathe out. Sink. Breathe in. Breathe out. Movement should be smooth and continuous. Don't allow unnecessary tension to affect your movement. Pay attention to each muscle that you need to use for the movement. Pay attention to each muscle that you don't need to use. What remains still? What needs to move? How does it move? And as you remain still, what needs to hold so that you can remain still? 2 more. Breathe in. Breathe out. Open the mind. Breathe in. And breathe out. Last time, breathe in. And separate. Down along both sides, pull up through the crown of the head, raise the heels and lower. Stay there, breathe in. Breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. This idea of emptiness, working through the whole body, developing that circulation, and then paying attention to particular centers as we practice is Qigong. That's the definition, right? That's what we're talking about. In all Qigong practice, doesn't matter if it's Wudang Qigong, whatever Qigong practice we're talking about, the foundation in traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture points, the centers, the gates, how the qi, the inner breath, circulates through the body, that study in combination with understanding how the cardiovascular system works, understanding how the different muscle groups function to do certain kinds of movement. What do I have to do? What am I physically doing? My hand, right? What am I doing? What do I have? What has to happen here in order for this to move? It's back in here, actually. All right, that's where it's coming from. All right, that sense, if I can go back into my center back, and I could talk about this muscle back in here that's actually extending the hand, that understanding, that level of understanding is foundation. It is one of the goals in practice, that we know which muscles to use, which muscles do we have to use, what do they have to do, which muscles need to hold, what's not really moving in this set. Okay, so I'm never going to do this, pretty much. I might do that as an application. If your face is right here, and I do this because I don't want your face right here, it's going to hurt. That's an application. I might do it. Most of the time, my shoulders aren't going to come up, right? I want to keep my shoulders down and well placed and well centered through my body, over my hips, so that I can move. That all of this turning through the waist, that a lot depends on the shoulder and hip alignment. If I'm out of position, if I'm leaning forward, if I'm leaning back, not only does it make it difficult or impossible to open all of the centers and all of the gates, it also makes it extremely difficult to maintain balance and to actively work many of the connections that we want to develop. So the connections through the lower part of the abdomen across here, that help support the ribs and the hips and hold the waist open. We want that. We do. We want. So as we work on basic sets, basic practice, we have plenty of time to pay attention to all of the details in each movement. As we develop, we progress through each of the sets, there will be additional work. There's a lot more for set 18, paying homage to the peaks, than there is for set 1. Everything we're doing here in set 1 is what needs to be available to do set 18. Progression, what comes next, as we work on each of the sets, we develop new skills, we develop additional skills, we pay attention to different acupuncture points, we pay attention to different uses of the channels, different connections in the body. So each exercise asks us to do something just a little bit more than what we did in the previous set. That progression is designed to take us from a point of not knowing, begin at extreme emptiness, right, to a level of understanding that is much greater than we can anticipate here. You have to, it's step by step, you have to go there. That paying homage to the peaks, there's places at Wudang Qigong where you can't see the peaks at the top. There are other places where you can. It's hidden. It's not there. But it is there. Begin at extreme emptiness. And we'll get there. I appreciate you being here today. We're probably going to cover this one more time. I'm probably going to do it again with a little bit different perspective, and I'm going to continue on with the main points and functions as Professor Liu describes them in his book. I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. I'll be back Wednesday next week with Xingyi, Tai Chi on Thursday, and Qigong again on Friday. Bye.